Hi, everybody. This is Bob Schwartz here, and this is another video on some of our one-day seminars. This is a post-con. Have the privilege to get to be with Mary Seiss, past president of ACEP, trauma therapist extraordinaire, amazing person. Hi, Mary. Great to see you.
Well, what an intro.
I don't know. We could go on forever. We don't have time.
Okay, cool.
So your workshop, timing is everything. Critical information to working safely with trauma, which of course is important. And I think some people might say, "What? Why don't you just tap on it? It's all good, right?" And I
Yes.
know you were going to say, "Well,
Let's kind of think about this for a minute. Okay.
maybe you could share right off the bat a story that captures that captures the essence of why this training is important."
Yeah. Well, of course, it comes from my own experience of what not to do. Okay. I can remember early on, I was learning about EMDR and I was learning about tapping, and I was like, thought I was really cool. I'm much humbler now. Anyway, but stop laughing. Okay, so I wanted everybody. I was like I laugh at myself like a born again. I was like wanting everybody on the planet to tap. Everybody needs to, and by the way, all those talking clinicians better just do what I'm doing, because miracles were happening in my office. People, the nightmares were stopping, the flashbacks were stopping. And so I remember this one person had this guy that she was seeing, and she said she wanted me to see him. And so I was like super arrogant and wanted to show off. And I said, fine, but you have to be here with him. And she was like, no problem. I'll be there with you. So because I really wanted people to see, I really thought there was something wrong with every clinician on the planet that wasn't doing energy psychology or EMDR or something for trauma processing. And so she brings this guy. I got it going, whatever. I can't remember if I did EMDR with him or tapping. I just have to be honest about that. It might have been EMDR, but anyway, I don't do any evaluation. I don't do anything. And we were working on a car accident. I mean, come on, that's child's play. And sure enough, he had been rear-ended in the accident. And meanwhile, now he's like on disability and everything, whatever. I start doing the work, and I've done no evaluation, no intake, nothing. Next thing, this guy is in a flashback just about underneath my chair. Blood is everywhere in his flashback. And I'm like, there wasn't blood in the car accident. Where is this guy? The therapist, she was absolutely no help. She had no idea where he was. And here I have a guy in a big flashback to a childhood trauma, which totally everything makes sense later. But in that moment, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And I felt, now, of course, I acted like I knew what I was doing, like all good therapists are supposed to do. And I kept moving the eyes or tapping. I don't know I forget what I was exactly doing. But, and we got through it and whatever, but it wasn't good clinical care. It wasn't. Some people are so fragile and they've had so much trauma that they deserve to have clinicians who, and if you're using it as a coach, if you're using it on your friends, okay, that know how to do this, how to really screen out for dissociative phenomena, how to know who might we hurt if we go too fast. How do I time my interventions in the correct stage that we know are the stages of trauma treatment? So that's what this workshop will be about. It's not that you don't do energy psychology in the early stages, but you'll use it for ego strengthening and getting them to create a life that's worth living before you go back into their childhood where they were beaten or attacked or whatever happened to them. And so I'll teach you how to use different, especially energy psychology methods in different stages, when to move forward, how to, and then especially we'll talk about how to process trauma, especially when someone's dissociated. And we'll do parts work with tapping, which is really cool work. And you'll be able to safely work with whether it's trauma or clients in general, really, this is applicable to all clinical cases, all
Yeah.
cases you have in front of you. How do I do good care for the client? That's what this is about. And it's based on that big screw up.
So, yeah, that's really interesting. So I mean, the question I was going to ask you, I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to just sort of frame it myself, is what's the main challenge for practitioners that you're planning to help them with? And it sounds to me like what you're saying, just even from this story, because it really captures it. It's a few things, right? It's one, having a really good sense of phase-oriented trauma treatment and knowing where you are.
Yeah.
And I know when I teach trauma, it's not you're in phase one for for 3 sessions, phase 2 for 4 sessions, and then phase 3. It's not
Right.
like it's not linear.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
It's it's
Yeah.
all, so you got to always be attending. So that's one thing that they're
Right.
gonna,
Yep.
one of the challenges.
Mhm.
Another major challenge that you've identified is this issue of how to deal with to identify and be attuned to dissociation,
Mhm.
and then how to
Right.
work with it if
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Because if they're dissociated, Bob, the tapping's not going to work. That's the thing. And that's where you'll see these people who say, oh, I did tapping, but it didn't work for me. And I'm like, really? Were you there? You know, like, and clinicians need to know when it's not working, have they just split off?
Yeah.
What's the aspect of them that is there? And then how do I, and also sometimes when you're processing trauma, I have really good video of this, which I'll show some of it. There's a part of you watching it from above. How do I integrate that? How do I bring that part to here to process the whole trauma? Because otherwise it doesn't really process.
So what I'm hearing,
show a little bit of that.
what I'm hearing from you also is it's not, are you dissociated or not? It's not that it's not in or out. There are levels and degrees of dissociation.
Exactly.
Part of what you're going to help people with is having a more refined understanding of that. Are they, how much dissociated, what's dissociated, who's,
right.
where to, and so
how do you know somebody might be someone that's not appropriate for you to treat? That's another piece. How do I screen people? So if I'm not licensed or I'm a cat, it's a friend, I know, whoa, back it off. How do I know? And where is the relationship a key part of the work?
Cool.
Because with some of the trauma people, with some of your trauma people have been, people have said, oh, I'm taking you out for ice cream, and then they get abused over there. They don't trust, and then you want them to go into these really terrifying spots, and come out with you. They have to be able to trust you. So you really have to know. For me, everybody has to know who's sitting in front of me, so I know where to go. Do I stay in present time with them and get that all strengthened up first? And do I open? And so you don't open too many doors of trauma. That's what I love about tapping. You can usually stay in one trauma versus you flood them.
Yeah.
With some of the other methods. What happens when I do flood them? And really the importance of the therapist, not being like me, trying to show off, trying to prove something. The therapist really being in alignment so that they're there, the client's primary, you know what you're doing, and you feel confident. You have you go in some of those dark places. It's like going deep, in the ocean, and you're drowning. You don't want a lifeguards who's their first day on the job, or they're just walking down the beach. You want somebody who knows what they're doing. And so the more clinicians can learn about this and see it happening and feel confident, and then the better therapist they'll become.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but again, as I listen to you talk, what I hear is that you're going to present a map of the terrain. And then there's the question I sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is a map that can be used both by people who are relatively new, but also by more advanced clinicians. That because I can hear, if you're more advanced, you'll pick up the more advanced stuff. If you're not, you'll get great stuff because
Right.
you're covering things at different levels all in the
Mhm.
workshop. So everybody's going to get something. If you want to improve your skills
Yeah.
as somebody that works with trauma, or to know, like if you're a coach, because if you're a coach, you probably
Yeah.
shouldn't be working with trauma, at least not the kind that you're talking about. But you need to know
Yeah.
like when not to go, and to have
Exactly.
awareness, and to have
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
uh knowledge that says, okay,
You need to, yeah, who's sitting in front of me?
yeah.
There's that saying, a hammer is a great tool unless you use it on glass. I love that saying
Oh, that's
because
I
our
I
tapping,
haven't heard that one. That's a good one.
oh, yeah, I use it all the time. Tapping is like phenomenal tool, but these people, some of the people on this planet are like glass.
Yeah.
You need to know who's sitting in front of you and when to go in a really slower paced way, building the relationship, and when you can just zoom forward.
Yeah.
Or you'll hurt somebody. And nobody wants to hurt anybody. There's nobody in ASAP sphere that's out to hurt anybody. But what you don't know, can somebody get hurt. And that's where I was in the 90s when I was first learning this and
Yeah.
had a, rescuer cape that never got airborne, but I liked it. And,
Well, I think
that's what I say. So come be with me. I have lots of examples. You can ask your questions of me. I have tons of clinical experience.
yeah,
And I'd love
you
to
do. I mean, you can I hear it, and I'm sure everybody listening hears just the solidity and the depth of your, we've been doing this a long time now.
We're a little on the older side.
Yeah. Well, look, I think we're really just about out of time. I think you've given people the
Great.
flavor of what they're going to get. And
Mhm.
thank you. And we hope you've enjoyed this. Come to New Mexico. If you haven't been to the Tamaya,
Oh, come.
my
Oh,
God, you're in for a treat.
yeah.
Yeah, great. So
It's the
thanks,
face
Mary.
of heaven. That place is amazing. You guys got to go. Yeah, just be there. Mm.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mary.
You're welcome.